So hello, we're the team of Audrey, Miranda, Jessica, and Joyce from NGN Toronto, and we're grade 11 IB students, and this is our project, Heart.io. So in the brief 10 minutes that we have together, we hope to explain to you everything to know about our product, and also to get you on board with our idea as well.
So I'll be starting with the introduction, and this is an overview of our product. Our product is called Heart.io device. It is a heart rate monitor that detects heart rate while wearing our shirt, and it passively connects to an app. And the app will analyze the patient's health condition, and we believe that this device can save lives immediately through AI technology. The optimal panel will include those in the health and wellness industry alongside medical technology investors. Our request is to provide $1.2 million in funding for our research and development, manufacturing, production, and promotion costs. In return, investors will get 15% ownership of our company and 12% of our revenues. And we believe these connects to three goals in NGN, which is healthcare access for all, safely integrate AI and robotics including into the society, and also goal 27, ensure no one is left behind.
So the problem our product is tackling is the lowered quality of life that patients with heart diseases can have. Heart disease is a serious problem in our society, as 18.2 million adults aged 20 years and older in America have coronary artery disease. 200,000 deaths from heart disease and stroke each year are preventable, and 1 in 5 heart attacks are silent, meaning the victim is not aware of their condition. This makes many heart attacks even more deadly because the patient does not know to call for help. Our product of a wearable heart monitor in the form of a t-shirt provides convenience for the user and helps prevent these dangerous accidents from happening.
So there are several major problems we've identified with the status quo, as well as the current market products. So firstly, during the COVID pandemic, a lot of patients and the medically ill have been isolated from caregivers and family members. And leaving these patients alone during these times can be extremely damaging and concerning for their health. But also in the current heart rate wearables market, there's like a huge multitude of problems. Firstly, wearables, such as Fitbits, are inaccurate due to the weak pulse at the wrist. And it's also very easy to forget to wear, especially for seniors who are suffering from memory loss. And in hospitals, chronic patients are hooked up onto these huge VSMs, and they lack lots of freedom of movement. And lastly, these wearables can only track heart rate, so they can't really de-escalate any situations, give warnings, or contact any emergency services in that sense.
And the current industry outlook is very optimistic. The health wearables industry grew staggering 55% last year, and is expected to be $2.1 billion industry by next year. This industry mainly targets the medical ill who suffers from heart-related diseases and seniors, and also especially the patients in the hospitals.
Now, moving into financial analysis. So below we've attached the following. First of all, we have a profit margin, a year one budget, and also a component cost budget. So within our year one, we have allocated around $500,000 towards research and development, which we believe is extremely crucial to developing a solid foundation for a good product. And also most of the costs that we've based on have used, for example, former wearable devices and just market value in general to assess what would be a good starting price, alongside some other factors, including manufacturing, assembly, operations, and office equipment, alongside promotional costs and miscellaneous expenses as well. And then we have a bit of a component breakdown with an estimated cost for a shirt with an insert, epoxy heart rate detectors, and the trackers, and that would come down to a total cost of 33.51 cents. And we would have a profit margin of around 79% which is really good in comparison to the industry average, which is around either 65 to 77. So moving on into the timeline. Oh, actually profit margins, yeah. So, oh, no, Audrey, go back. So moving into the profit margins, we can see that we have a budget for startup costs alongside an income statement with an estimated cost of goods sold, with some other elements such as the gross profit margin with marketing and advertising and promotion. And we did a bit of an EBITDA analysis, and that came down to a solid net profit margin alongside our net earnings as well. Now moving into the timeline.
The timeline we have planned for our project spans over the course of 19 months. We will begin in April 2021 with research for 3 months. The next step is prototyping, which we estimate will take 4 months. This includes the alpha and beta prototyping of the shirt and coding of the app. The third stage is testing to obtain FDA approval and to test all the medical equipment to ensure the product is easy to use and safe. After, 3 months will be spent on manufacturing and will continue throughout so we have enough supplies. Next, we will be marketing our product to pharmacies and partnering with hospitals and senior homes. This will span for 1 month. Finally, our last stage is our first wave of distribution, where we will be delivering our product to hospitals and health and wellness stores. The end date of the project is projected to be November 2022.
So moving into our proposed solution, this is the model of our Heart.io product. So we have copper strips for heart monitoring, and they are placed in a crisscross pattern across the left side to cover the entire area of the heart. And then we also have sensors that are woven in to the shirt so it's not visible on the outside, and these are interconnected. And this shirt, as previously stated, will be connected to an app, and this app will track heart rate so that it's sent through from passive signals from the shirt. And the heart rate monitor has a very thin battery, so it can be charged externally and wirelessly, which prevents the hassle of having to remove attachable devices. And then a fully charged battery can also last up to 30 hours. All the sensors will be waterproof, as previously they've been coated by epoxy, so it is washing machine safe. And then the pricing of the product is also affordable to offer the best experience possible to all our customers, because we believe in the wearable tech market, there's a rather large profit margin and profit incentive. Therefore, we hope that this will create more options for our users as well.
So here's kind of a layout of the different layers of our product. So our chosen fabric is a comfortable sweat-proof spandex, and it's also in a unisex black design. So it's both form-fitting and also compressive, so it serves as a form of therapy as well. So the second layer is the TPU shell, which is coated in a waterproof epoxy layer, making the shirt machine safe. And then the following layer after that is composed of sensor ICs that monitor the heart rate. And after that, we will have an IC sensor. So it will be like a copper matrix. And this copper wire will be able to charge this shirt externally through a wireless network. And this intertie network is super efficient in terms of charging. So the last layer is a very thin membrane, and this layer will be very comfortable and breathable, so anyone can wear it for a very long time.
The image on the left shows a model of the home screen in the app. The user can see their heart rate when they open it and whether or not their condition is normal. Unique features of the app include the tracking of the patient's location, heart rate, body temperature, and overall trends. The AI technology will send a warning on the app for an incoming stroke or heart attack when abnormalities are detected. When the patient's heart rate is outside the normal range, which is customized per individual, emergency services and contacts are alerted. Additionally, the app is useful in analyzing and providing information on the patient's health because the data collected is accessible to doctors if needed, as it tells the time, rate, and medical history of the patient.
Now, for more details on the app, the shirt will be connected passively through RCPS. To code the app, we will use our expertise in Python AI programming in the ML model. and connect it to the RCPS system. And lastly, we will use an IBIS 9W wireless charging platform to charge our heart rate battery in the shirt.
To summarize everything we went over today, there is a large demand and need for heart monitoring. Heart.io benefits the medically ill, seniors, and vulnerable patients. Our innovative shirt provides convenience and safety for the customer because it ensures that their health is looked after. Additionally, the app's features can prevent deaths from heart disease by alerting medical services when an emergency occurs. Finally, we are asking for $1.2 million in funding to make this idea into a reality.
So thank you so much for your time today and taking the time to listen. We hope you decide to invest in our idea. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. I'll jump in. So can you describe more about the fundamental sensor technology? I'm unclear on your cross-section diagram. You have a woven layer. So can you, what's the electrode contact? Because I get this is a ECG method. So how do you maintain, a copper contact to the skin via a shirt?
Oh yeah, so that's actually exactly why we have a very thin layer, thin membrane, that is going to be that's going to be forming a very thin barrier between the copper and the skin of our patient. So this barrier is needed just so that copper exposure isn't too direct, but also enough so that the copper can also transmit any necessary signals into our sensor ICs.
Okay, so let me try to clarify my confusion. So, an ECG electrode needs to be sort of stable and in intimate contact, right, to be able to register a signal. And how does that work with a shirt? Because a shirt kind of migrates around when you wear it. So what's the technique for maintaining a consistent electrode contact?
Okay, so the fabric that we chose is spandex, or also known as lycra. And the thing that with these types of material is it's very form-fitting, as previously mentioned, and it kind of adheres to the person's form in general, which makes it more customizable and also very adaptable to all shapes and sizes. So we want it to be size inclusive as well.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense.
What's the procedure to cleaning the shirts?
So it's easily machine washable. So you could treat it as any other shirt because we've coated our sensors and the batteries also with an epoxy layer, which makes it waterproof and also machine safe.
Thanks.
I'll go next. You, in your first slide or second slide, you mentioned 12% of return to the investor, or 12% of revenue. You meant profit or you meant revenue? Because that will be a devastating thing for your business, right?
So yeah, it was supposed to be 12% profit. So 12% of all revenues earned will be given to all our investors because we recognize that investors are putting a significant amount of money into the research and the development of our product.
Yeah. Thanks for the clarification. One more question on, you use the term of using AI to detect this. Typically to run AI jobs, you need a massive computing environment. So clearly an app or whatever amount of processing you have available on your regular phone just can't do the AI job. So how do you plan for really detecting or potentially detecting the future problem, which requires cloud level computing to figure this out?
Okay, so to answer this, first of all, it would track using, for example, you have like wearable technology such as Fitbits. So they'll record your heart rate. And then we'll also have a system that will track like historical heart rates. So
Mhm.
it'll be like, first of all, they'll use like general statistics. So you'll have to enter like personal information such as your age, your gender, and they'll just estimate what it should be around. But if you have, for example, pre-existing conditions such as high blood pressure, you have to like inform the app so it can adjust that statistically. And then it will also track your historical heart rate. So if it's been naturally high or naturally lower, it will kind of adapt like on its own because of the AI learning that's being used.
Mhm. And to add on to that, there are actually a lot of products already available in the market that only track heart rate using AI. But the difference between our product and the current market alternatives is that we actually provide the ability to track and track all the trends and also give warnings to emergency contacts such as relatives and also emergency services in the case that heart rate fluctuations are super dramatic.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. My question was coming down to, do you have a cloud component as well, which is really doing the inferencing and the learning part, or is it mostly like I'm trying to see how deep your AI know-how is in this solution compared to just detecting anomaly, which could be done in a simple program written on the phone itself. But if you have to do inferencing based on like wider set of data or something that requires more computing power. So I was wondering if you have a component that is off the phone app as well that is needed to make this work.
Yeah, I think that we would probably have an external database, and we're thinking of expanding this further within our research, which is why we gave around 3 to 6 months for research. And we think that there's definitely a lot of prototyping and a lot of changes that need to be made to our product in order for it to be fully functional.
I have one more question. So is this available to everyone or certain people who have heart conditions? Do they have to wear the shirts all the time? How would that work?
Okay, so what we did was we kind of assessed the wearable kind of not only technology market with Fitbits, Apple Watch 6, etc., but we also looked into, for example, wearable tech. For example, I think they have tank tops, sports bras, and other features and t-shirts as well that are currently available, but they don't do the extensive tracking that our product offers. And we kind of assessed that we realized that a lot of these were that had really high markups. For example, like nearly sometimes I think like 150% or nearly like over 100%. So we wanted to make this a lot more available because we understand that, for example, some families or people with, for example, underlying heart conditions can't really afford these steep prices. So that falls into one of our NGN goals. And then the second one, in terms of answering who this is marketed towards. So if someone has to have a heart condition to be able to access this product, I think, first of all, in our beginning stages, we're definitely aiming to help these individuals first. But later on, when we move past that development stage and we go past, for example, catering these products to not only, for example, senior homes and hospitals, we'll probably move on to the general public as well. But we want to make sure that we can help most of these people with underlying conditions first because we see more of a demand by helping these individuals.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Are there regulations and hurdles to adoption of this based on metal detecting things going around, and more places are becoming secure? So you know where this will get detected and flagged as as a by security people who are trying to have you go through some of those metal scans.
Yeah, absolutely. Since our product is related to medical monitoring, there are a lot of safety procedures that are required just by the American FDA Association. So that's why we've put in extra months during our prototyping process. We put in 6 months because the average of being able to getting approval through technology and medical technology through the FDA is an average of 45 days to 6 months. So yeah, we recognize that there are a lot of medical procedures and also legal procedures that need to be enacted in order for our product to be executed in the right manner.
So you're valuing the company today at $8 million. What's your argument for that value? Anyone want to take that?
Yeah, okay, so Joyce did the financials, so I'm not super clear as to what the financials look like, but we think that this market is a $212 billion industry, and it's expected to be growing in the next few years. We think that by next year, our company will definitely have the potential to grow, and also especially because we cater to a very not so much of a niche demographic, because we're able to help millions of people around the globe with our device, because a lot of people suffer from heart diseases and heart related diseases such as CAD and heart attacks. So we think that our $8 million value is justified.
Thank you.
Oh, I can add on to this as well. So sorry about that for the delay, but we'd also like to note that the reason why we valued it as a rather high price, even for a smaller startup, is for a few reasons. We believe, first of all, this establishes a lot of credibility. So we understand that we've already put a 70% above profit margin on there, but this is for a few reasons. So first of all, a lot of this would also go to covering further research and development costs to make sure that our product is not only good when we launch it, but continues to remain of good quality and move along with the market changes and technological advances that come in the future. And then this will also be followed by, for example, future innovations and expansions. So not only making just t-shirts, but making, for example, other features and wearable accessories that can be integrated into people's lives. So that might involve, for example, even pants, but we probably have to look into that more in terms of prototyping. And then lastly, we also established a higher profit margin, because if we had offered a product that was too cheap, a lot of psychological impacts in terms of people's brains when they calculate prices, they'll compare it to the market and they'll be like, hey, what about the quality of this item? So we want to make sure that we take a lot of this funding that we get, and especially profits, and reinvest it back into our company, which will ultimately create a very long-term successful business. And that's why we valued it at such a high price, especially for a startup health and wellness company.
Yeah, great answer.
I'll ask one more question. Is there time to ask one more question?
Yes, you guys have 2 more minutes.
Okay. The cost of charging the wearables battery, and I understand this is rechargeable, but of course there's going to be a connector that needs to come out to charge it, and how long it will last, and do I have to can that get corroded during washing and all that? Because typically electronics that are so-called waterproof still require you to be not immersed in water, like in washing machine kind of waterproof. So what's the feasibility of charging this device, and every day do I have to charge it? And because 30 hours is approximately, let's say, a day. So and and does my shirt go totally out of commission if the battery depletes? And yeah, and the corrosion on the connector, which is required for charging.
So to answer, I think one of the questions in terms of epoxy erosion, usually epoxy would withstand around 2 to 3 years of wear, which we think is pretty reasonable for a shirt of that caliber and cost. And then to follow up for the other, I think we mentioned that it would have been wireless charging. So for example, you see current technologies have offered like wireless pads and whatnot, but I think either Miranda or Jessica can follow up with some of the details of how long this battery would last.
Absolutely. So we mentioned that it was a 30-hour charging span. And that's technically, if you don't charge it for a day, you'll still be good. So ideally what you would do is at night, you would take the shirt and you would put it onto the charging pad, and it'll be fully charged for the next morning when you wear it. And also we think that this washing isn't happening on almost like a daily basis, so it wouldn't happen too regularly. So we don't think that there'll be too much damage on the battery, although we do recognize that there will be corrosions. In that case, we will be sending out, because the battery will be able to detect this corrosion and the inefficiency of being able to charge our shirt, we will be able to notify through notifications through the app, through our external database, and in order to tell the patients to change a new shirt, or else it'll become possibly damaging towards their health.
Thank you.
All right, I think I'm gonna have to cut you guys off there, but thank you guys so much for presenting. It was a great presentation.
Thank you so much for having us.
Much.
Thank you.